MCL structural components are important, but component 7 about learning opportunities is the component that most significantly transforms. It transforms schools to MCL learning centers, education from an outdated industrial age assembly line structure to a post-information age mass customized learning structure. It transforms schools from a time-based, control-based, administratively convenient structure to one that is customized and meets the needs of every learner every hour of every day. Other educational change efforts attempt to make minor curriculum and instructional changes while keeping the industrial age assembly line. Those change attempts are about tinkering, while MCL is about transforming. So, how is a learning outcome best learned? Once we have identified a learner outcome and have clearly described what the learner must do to show evidence that he or she has mastered that outcome, what's the next question for the professional educator? Typically, we educators quickly begin thinking, how will I teach this outcome? But the professional educator will think, how is this learning outcome best learned? There are a number of options from which to choose when we answer the question, how is this best learned? So what number and type of learning opportunities do we make available for our learners? Too few limit the learner, and too many might make the process so cumbersome that it can't be managed effectively. Some common types of learning opportunities from which to choose seem to sync best with the how best learned question. The first three listed here, seminars, direct instruction, and labs, will need to be scheduled in groups, while the others, online learning, mentorships, and projects, can be scheduled by the learner with the help from his or her individual learning coach. Scheduling seminars, direct instructions, and labs, it can become a bit complex, but with the aid of computers and technology, it's not too difficult. The key is that there's not a common start time or end date or length of time that must coincide with all other learning opportunities. Today, most schools have one learning opportunity called courses, and they all, or most, begin on the same date, end on the same date. The start date and end date of a seminar, however, or direct instruction or lab, can begin and end at the discretion of the learning facilitator. If the learning facilitator thinks he or she needs 20 hours for like an interpersonal communication seminar, then the learning facilitator, in conjunction with the leader of the learning center, will place that specific seminar on the schedule. Or the leader might ask for 3 or 4 of those seminars over the next 3 months. The learner, when making out her schedule, like Lori does in the Lori Does Her Learning Plan video, wants to take a seminar like this, she clicks into that particular learning outcome, finds out that it's offered 3 times, selects the one that best fits her schedule, and then her name gets on that specific seminar list, and she calls her friends and alerts them of her choice. And that way her friends who also need that learning outcome can join her at that seminar. And she moves on to other seminars, direct instruction, or labs that fit her learning plan. We saw a list of some of these seminars in the strategic design structural component, scheduling of direct instruction learning opportunities in labs, scheduling of direct instruction learning opportunities in labs for science, for example, can be scheduled very similar to that of seminars. It's good to note here that the learning coach will make choices about who is mature and motivated to the point that he or she can make all or most scheduling decisions, and then who lacks the maturity, motivation, or skills to make their own decisions. It'll always be the learning coach's desire and mission to continuously move the learner toward maturity, motivation, and skills so that they leave the learning center as a lifelong learner. Note that the learner's not limited to learning outcomes because he or she is not a freshman or a sophomore. Grade levels no longer need to restrict learners. If the learner is in need of or desires a specific learning outcome, and he or she has the prerequisites to enter that seminar or direct instruction, then he or she is eligible. Time or age are no longer a factor. The fast runners can run, and all the learners are being met at their learning level. This structure is what moves MCL beyond personalized learning, beyond competency-based learning or outcome-based learning. We do those things, but we also get rid of the industrial age assembly line structure. We move from courses and time-based learning and grade levels to the ideal learning experience, meeting learning levels daily, working through strong learning styles, learning through content of interest, and making learner outcomes relevant to life.